Hello, welcome back. I'm Dane Campbell, and this is Change with Dane. I'm recording this on the 23rd of July, 2025. So, if you recall, over the past few weeks, I've been talking about helping people find ways to change or adjust their thoughts and behaviors so that they can have a greater likelihood of gaining success or peace or happiness that they're looking for in life. And some of the things that we've talked about are the challenges of addressing habits, the challenges of addressing thoughts, which can sometimes be a little bit analogous to changing the course of water, right? In a stream, it's difficult, and it sometimes seems like the flow of those things are very difficult to make go in a different direction. But I've talked about ideas on how to be able to do that and a couple of very specific skills that you could implement, whether that's defining the name or defining the terms that you may be calling yourself, and maybe having more self-compassion or self-acceptance with some of the things that you do and think about. Today I wanted to introduce another skill that can sometimes help people adjust the significant or difficult emotions that come up when they are thinking about things. And a lot of times when we are telling ourselves things about situations that happen to us or that happen around us, oftentimes we use triggering language. And I will define for you what I have seen to be triggering language for a lot of people. But I also want you to keep in mind that certain words or names or concepts can be triggering for individuals that aren't for other people. So one of the things that you'll have to do when you try to work with this skill is to just be aware of what you tell yourself. And if there are certain words or names or concepts or things that you allow come into your mind, and you notice that you're feeling a certain way and you may be getting worked up, or you're feeling more depressed, or you're feeling more angry or anxious, it might be because you're using some of this triggering sort of language. So let me give you an example so it's less nebulous. Oftentimes, I will say that words like should, never, always, could, those kinds of things can often be triggering for people. And here's an example as to how that might work. I've worked with many, many couples where one person in the couplehood will say, "You never tell me that you love me." And that becomes very triggering for the other person because they hear the word never. And there was at least one time, maybe it was at the altar, maybe it was when they proposed, but they remember that one time that they said, "I love you." And so to hear the other person say never, that becomes extremely triggering for that person. Always is another great example. I always fail. I always do the wrong thing. I always make a bad decision. Now, if we objectively look at most people, never and always probably should not be in the discussion, right? Because most of the time, whether it's something that you want to do that's good or something you did that you didn't want to do, we could probably find examples where that wasn't entirely the case. So this may seem a little elementary, but using a different term can oftentimes reduce the intensity of the emotion and make it feel not so bad, and make you feel less damaged, or maybe feeling more, maybe feeling like you can achieve more, or that you are better off than you actually give yourself credit for in your thoughts. So what I would like for you to do is to maybe examine the things that you notice going on in your own mind, and see if you, on any occasions, use those terms never or always. Should have and could have are kind of in another category, right? A lot of times people express regret in this way by saying, I should have done X, Y, Z, or you shouldn't have said X, Y, Z. A lot of times these are also triggering words, because if it's something that we did or didn't do, that's in the past. And so there really isn't a lot we can do about making that decision different. Now, if the decision brought a negative consequence, or we have to do something different because of the decision, then I would say that it's more productive and maybe more healthy to avoid using the word should have or couldn't or shouldn't have, whatever it might be, and ask yourself, are there any things that you can actually address or change to make the situation better? And if you don't want to do that in the future, if the thing was something that you made a mistake and don't want to do it in the future, what are the things you can do to avoid doing that in the future? And that will bring a great deal more positive energy, a great deal more positive consideration than kind of beating yourself up because of something that you should have done or shouldn't have done. Now, I'm not saying this to not take responsibility for mistakes or things that maybe happened that could have hurt someone's emotions or whatever the case might be. I think those are the things that you need to address. But we need to, again, go back to that self-compassion and realize none of us are perfect. And so there's always going to be the need to allow ourselves to make mistakes as we're learning and growing and basically living life as an imperfect human. So thoughts and these words can trigger ourselves and our own emotions. They can also trigger other people around us. And I would like to see generally for people to use less of these kinds of terms in our daily interactions so that we don't trigger others and we have some empathy and compassion of where others are coming from. Because just like us, the person sitting across the table or, in the chair next to us, they're humans too, and they should be allowed to have the same opportunity to learn and grow from their mistakes as we do. And if we utilize triggering language, it not only makes or has the potential to leave them feeling bad, but it also puts a significant power imbalance between us, because it's sort of like name calling, and people then become defensive. And so if we can leave that triggering information, or those triggering names, those triggering words to the side a little bit, I think what you'll find is that you will often feel better about the things that you go through, the things that you're trying to say, the things that you're trying to change. And the negative emotion can be tremendously reduced. And I know that if you will find a way to eradicate and pull some of those triggering words from your vocabulary that you might use with others, you will see a difference. You will see a difference in the way that others react to you, and quite frankly, how they feel about you. So, triggering words. Perhaps an opportunity again to adjust how you are looking at changing your thoughts, and perhaps an idea in how you can find a way to, again, change the thermostat on the things that you feel, on the intensity of those feelings, the duration of those feelings, so that you can find greater opportunities for peace and success with what you're trying to achieve in life. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate everybody who watched last week when I introduced my book. I know that for many, that wasn't necessarily about change yourself. Certainly, though, a great opportunity to read about the great change that was happening in my life and continues to happen. So like and subscribe. Again, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next week.